Paranormal Karen, she's so spooky. Paranormal Karen, funny too. Paranormal Karen, she's so spooky. Oh, and did I mention she's funny too? Yeah, cha-cha-cha.
Hey everybody, welcome to Paranormal Karen. I'm so excited. I think I say that every single show, but I love my show and I love my guests. And today is one of my fellow comedian paranormal investigators, paranormal phenomenon freak from, I shouldn't call you a freak, Jeff. That just came out of my mouth. From Indianapolis, who took me on one of the most interesting nights out. Jeff Bodart is here. Jeff, how are things there in Indiana?
Oh, it's going fantastic.
I know this comes out in May, so we may actually be out of the lockdown by then. But yes, but so Jeff, tell me first of all, tell the folks where they can find your comedy or you got a CD, you got anything? What can the folks find?
I have a couple albums on iTunes and all the like. One's called "They're Still in the Can." That was the first one. And then the other one is called, what is it? Adorable and Affordable.
Adorable and Affordable.
And yeah, I think you can check out my website, jeffbodart.com. That's Bodart. And I've been drawing a lot. So if they want to check out my artwork, then I'm on Instagram or Facebook as Jeff Bodart Art.
And your Instagram is fantastic.
Oh, thank you.
Yes, and I see most of your Twitter. I see your drawings, and they're just so good. I'm waiting to the point where people are sending you pictures and commissioning drawings. I think that's your next move.
Oh, I've got a lot of those.
Oh, good. They're so great.
Yeah, they're all in there. And sometimes they're like, well, don't tweet this out because I don't want them to see it yet. I'm like, okay.
All right. Well, that's all right. So, Jeff, now you got a couple albums out. You got some drawing things going on. Tell me, how did you, because you're pretty psychic. Actually, were you like first started out in comedy the first time I worked with you? Like literally, we've known each other forever, haven't we?
Oh, yeah. I mean, it was, it's been, I've known you. You were featuring out in Louisville for what? Was that Tim Walco?
Oh, yes, that's right. And
that was probably year 2 for me, 2 or 3, and because I started in 2001, and then I for all week I could not get Rontowski pronounced, and then by the end of the week, the sound guy was like, "Hey, you got to get rid of that piece of paper." I'm like, what are you talking about? It's like, yeah, but you should know by now. I'm like, well, it's just hard to remember.
I had one guy, I was working with one guy in Atlantic City, and he was always drunk, and he was hosting, and when he would say my name, he got Rontowski wrong every time, and then he got so upset about it that by the last few days, he got Karen wrong. He brought me up as Carol, and then his like Kiva or whatever. It was like so like, dude, you got to stop drinking. That's a sign there. So Jeff, tell me. I know you're incredibly psychic. I know that we've talked about that before, and you're an intuitive. Tell me about your venture into the paranormal world.
It's been interesting because I pick up on things here and there, and I've done a few investigations. I've done some investigations with my friend Matthew Jackson. He goes by Evil Ogleville, but we went into that. What's the sanitarium in Louisville, Kentucky?
Oh, that's the big one. That is. Hold on one second, and hang on. I'm going to pause this 1 second because I feel a leaf blower getting closer and closer. Hang on 1 second. All right, folks, I hope you can't hear that leaf blower in the back, but here's the thing. I literally put Jeff off because the leaf blower was on the back side of the building, and then as I started to tape, the leaf blower has now moved to the front side of the building, and here's the worst part of it. We have fake grass. Our apartment complex has fake, and I think he's in the hallway. What the hell is the leaf blower guy doing? There is nothing to blow, dude. What are you doing out there? Oh, my God. All right. And so anyways, okay, so you were saying before, I have a feeling this is just how this podcast is going to go. Thank God you're fine. Can you hear the leaf blower? Jeff?
Yeah, a little bit, yeah.
Okay. Where is he going? All right, I hear him going the other way. It's going away now.
Okay, I don't hear it very much now.
I think he's having lunch. What is he doing? Go away. Go away. All right, it's a little better. It's not good. All right, I'm gonna sort of keep my hands over the phone, over the microphone. Okay. All right. Okay, so you tell me, Jeff. Tell us now about 10 minutes into the podcast. Tell us about your paranormal background. Go ahead. You've been to the sanitarium in Kentucky.
Yeah,
that's the big one. When is that one?
Yeah, Waverly Hills.
Waverly Hills. How did you like it?
It's massive, and I thought I was going to be really, really scared or nervous, but I wasn't, and I was fine going into these very dark. It was at night, obviously, but with the very dark places, and I just sat there, just listening, and sometimes you hear like footsteps. I'm like, okay, I don't know if that's another part of another team or that's. But it turns out there's nobody around me at that point, so you're like, oh, okay, well that was somebody.
Yeah, that was something. Something's walking.
Yeah. And then we would pair off, and then we went into this one place, and I can't remember the name of the person, but me and one of the team members, Lindsay, we were around, and we were talking about, we were doing an EVP session, and I said, isn't this where for the sake of the story, I'm going to call it the Dark Man. I don't remember the name of it, but isn't this where the Dark Man is? And you play back on the recorder, and it says Dark Man, and it was like, oh my God, that was a little creepy.
He was there. You know what's interesting about those places is, first of all, insane asylums or sanatoriums or whatever,
Yeah.
There's one in that I'm trying to get into in my sister. Everybody's up in Utica, and they have the Utica Lunatic Asylum, and that's the name. And I always say that's back when lunatic was a good word. But
is that a comedy club?
Exactly, that should be. But nobody's really been investigating in there, so I want to get in because they're very, very scary. They're the worst. But I think when they become high traffic areas, there are certain things that don't. They kind of get like, all right, the people are coming through. It's not quite as intense as when something first opens up, which is why that time, and this is like, we're going to be all over the map. I do stream of consciousness. Someone asked me I asked someone on a podcast, and they're like, do you want questions? And I'm like, you can send them. I probably won't read them. But you took me one night, I was working, and you were I think you were headlining the other club. There's two clubs in Indianapolis. I hope they're still there by the time this comes out with the quarantine. But they so the one I think you were headlining one, I was the other, and you come pick me up in the middle of the night, and we go to this place, and what is it called? Candlelight Inn? What is it?
It's called the Candlelight House.
Candlelight House, and you were like, "Hey, I know this guy," and we just met. And now that whole thing when we were there, because is it open to the public now, or did they turn it to a bed and breakfast? What happened with it?
Well, I think they've had other investigators there. I know my friend Matthew has had his team in there, and I think they've had a couple of others, and they're on Twitter I can't remember the handle right now, but it's, if you look up the Candlelight House in Franklin in Indiana, then you'll see it. But that house, it's small, but there's a lot going on.
There was, and we did. So first of all, let me set this up, folks. Jeff comes pick me up, and we are on some dark, there's like no street lights. We're driving. And you're telling me these stories about how there's, we'll get into the stories, but he's telling me the scariest stories. We can't find the place. And then the guy has to start giving us directions, and he can't figure out where we are. And we were like, is this a sign? Are we not supposed to be going to here? So we get there. And first of all, it was like an old stone house set way back. And if you know Indiana, the houses are very spread out in a lot of places. There's a lot of land, a lot of room, and there's no electricity at all. And
right.
There's like houses really are not around there. It was like a dark blob, and the stories in there, starting with the fact that some family owned this for like 100 years, right?
Yeah.
And their graveyard is in the backyard.
Yeah, it's near there. Yeah, not directly in the backyard, but yeah, it's close by.
It's on their land, which, by the way, can't be legal anymore. I hope.
No, yeah, their grand or great grandfather did, I guess.
Yes, it was just, there's the first problem. They've been burying their own people. I'm going to start that right here in my apartment building, burying my own people. And I will tell you my part, and then I want you to tell me about the stuff in the house. We were in there because I was videotaping a funny paranormal, Karen, and I got one of the clearest EVPs, and it was, and I know they aren't even Russian, but it was a Russian someone saying, I can't remember what they said. And I asked my friend Kira, who's Russian, and she said that he said grandma. He was calling for grandma. And it was,
oh, wow.
Yeah, it was so clear. And I don't even know if it had to do with the house. So tell me the story of the house or how you met this guy that does that.
Well, I had a podcast, or it's still there. We have hopes to sort of relaunch it again, but it's called Kinda Makes You Think. And we got this email from a guy named Adam, and he was talking about how his wife found this house, and they're going to go look at it. And they ended up buying it because they were going to put a house near it on the property, but keep that old farmhouse. And apparently this house had been, like you said, in the same family for many, many years. And there was a guy who'd passed away in it named Otho, and Otho or Otho, but then he was like, I don't know, the grandson of whoever, but they ended up buying this house. They had a psychic friend of theirs say that there's an older woman still there and Otho's still there, and so anyway they go in and they start maybe talking to Otho, and they go into a room, ask about him, and then they go back into that room later, and Otho has been scratched into the windowsill. And it wasn't there before.
Yeah, I remember this, and it was very clear.
Oh, yeah. And I don't know if Otho didn't want them there or what, but I know the woman doesn't. So he tells us all about the house. We go in and investigate. And then I have a psychic medium friend of mine who lives down in Texas, and I had her, and she's really good she can do it remotely. And so she's like, okay, turn here, go up the steps. And she goes, go into the room on the right. I'm like, oh, okay. And I go, and she goes, that is where the woman hangs out. And she didn't know anything about what the other medium had said. But yeah, they both found that there was an old woman, and in the closet upstairs is where she hangs out. And she's like, don't go there. I said, but you just told me to go there. And she's like, well, don't walk into that closet. I'm like, oh, all right.
Right.
Yeah.
No electricity. I'm not going to the closet.
We were downstairs, and I get nervous watching this stuff on TV, but in person, I'm fine. We heard clearly footsteps walking around upstairs, and then I think there was even a rocking chair.
I remember the rocking chair.
I know it's this kind of a scatterbrained story, but there's just so much to tell you.
Right. And also, I remember the rocking chair, and for some reason, here comes the leaf blower again. I think, what the hell? What is this guy blowing out there? What is he doing? All right.
Maybe he's bored.
He must be bored. So I feel like I remember this story so well, and I remember a couple of things, which was upstairs. Now, the woman in the closet I don't quite remember that, but wasn't there a woman an aunt or somebody that went into a room and never came out?
Oh, yes. Yeah, I don't remember why, but she just spent the rest of her life up there, and she died up there. And I think that was Otho's aunt.
And that wasn't even the woman in the closet.
I don't think so.
Which means that somebody was scared into the closet, and somebody was scared to leave the room. and that sounds like and everyone was buried in the backyard. It sounds, yes, that's why. But we did not want to go into the room that the woman went in, because when I was there, you and I did not go into the room that the woman locked herself in and died in, because there was, I think that at that time, and I'm putting this together lightly, but I think that that was the room, not just the closet, but didn't one of those mediums tell you not to go into that room, that there was something demonic in that room? And that was where the walking around was, wasn't it?
Yes.
And so I think that woman had an attachment of some sort or something, and she went in that room and she never came out, or maybe she was possessed. But it's so interesting because that house had the energy of that family, I believe, since it was built, right? They were the only ones. That guy Otho, didn't he die at like 100? Like it was some crazy age that he died there.
Yeah, he was really old, and he was forever alone too. He didn't have. He was a bachelor or whatever, but he was just there for. And people remember him as kids. Like they'd see him. They go, "That's where the old man lives." I know that's so, like I said, scatterbrained, but just trying to remember everything.
No, I know. No, we're holding it together. We got it going on.
But don't you remember, like, when we tried to get to the house, there were more than just bad directions. There were, like...
road closings
and something did not want us in that house.
I remember, and when you're going to a place like that, it was like there was so much, because I have it on tape, and I remember I was taping you driving for some reason, like, and we were like, how long? This is like 20 minutes away. We've been in the car like 90 minutes because we couldn't go this way. And then I remember he had to go out in the street and wave us down, and I will never forget how dark everything, like I almost had to leave on the car headlights because you couldn't even see to walk into this house. So this old guy is living there till he's 100. No electricity, no heat in Indiana. I think there was a fire. There must have been a fireplace or some kind of stove. Yeah. And the place was pretty beat up by the time we got there. So, and here's the thing. The place that I got the EVP there was a back room that had these jars. Do you remember the jars? But
I do.
But we never figured out what was in the jars.
I think they were used for I think that was like the pantry area.
But
or they think was there marble in one of them?
I think so. There was something. Now the guy's cutting the lawn. What is going on, Jeff? Did you hear that? Is that
somebody's bucking for a promotion? It sounds like.
I know. Is it that loud in here? Can you hear? Okay, he's gone now. I can't stop.
I can't hear it.
We're in lockdown. There's not been a sound for weeks. And the minute I call you and we start talking about this house, the minute we stop talking about this house, all these ghost lawn people are going to go away. So I remember those. There was marbles in one. Okay, maybe there weren't exactly body parts, but it looked like when you watch one of those horror movies, the Texas Chainsaw. They made a new one that's even grosser, and he's got the jars in the bottom with the body parts. That was almost what it was like in this house. And I remember the rocking chair did start moving because I taped it for a while, seeing if it would. And that is the only reason I don't have a rocking chair. I would love a rocking chair, but I think that's the first thing ghosts go for.
Oh yeah, they are inherently just creepy in general.
Yes.
I don't know if it's just from all the movies I've seen.
Yes.
And it's always a rocking chair that starts.
Old people die in them, and I think they're a very easy thing to manipulate. They're very easy to manipulate. Yeah. And
which just means every Cracker Barrel is haunted.
I know. Well, they are. They're haunted by cholesterol and high blood pressure. What the hell? Their food could not be less healthy. And I can't get anything vegan in there. But when I wasn't vegan, I loved it. All right, we're going to go on hold for 1 second. We're going to take a break, folks, and I'm going to see if I might go punch a gardener. Hang on, folks. Hey, everybody, do you need a laugh? Well, I am doing a virtual comedy show tomorrow, Saturday, May 23rd on flapperscomedy.com. It's only $10 for as many people as you can squeeze in your living room with the appropriate social distancing. And my guest is going to be Ryan Singer. That's right, Ryan from the podcast. That's an awful lot of funny paranormal squeezed into one place. So it's Saturday, May 23rd, 5 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. That's 8 p.m. Eastern Time. You people on Central and Middle, I don't know what happens there. You figure it out, but it's somewhere between 5 and 8 for you. And it's $10. Go to flapperscomedy.com, click on May 23rd, and get your tickets now. And we'll be able to see each other if you want. Or maybe some of you will have the black screen up. But either way, we're going to laugh and have fun. We'll see you tomorrow. All right, we're back, folks. Sans, gardener, leaf blower. Okay. So you, and here's the other thing. When I went to this place, I remember there was Adam and his wife, and his wife was talking about making it a bed and breakfast. And I was like, holy, the work they would have had to have done on that place. I mean, it was a wreck, and it was literally made of stone.
Oh, yeah.
Like, yeah. I would have thought if they were going to knock that down, they couldn't. Like, I almost want to say that in the cemetery in the back, that's a powerful family. You want to remain cursed and haunted, you knock that down. That's got to set for a few decades before you knock that down. Yeah,
it's going to take more than sage or something to clear that place out.
Right, and she also now I'm hearing machine I can't recognize. Now I'm hearing a lawn machine I cannot recognize.
Building a pagoda?
I know. I don't know what's going on. But I remember, I think that they started to like her. She had some stories. She was cleaning up the place, and whatever was in there started to like her or help her. And, that was one of those stories, too. I remember didn't she find the place, and she was like, I have to get it. I have to have it. And that's like on that show, A Haunting, which is kind of, or Paranormal Experience. Most of the scariest shows on there are people telling their real stories. And they all start out with the saying, the house spoke to me. And I'm always like, oh, yeah, that's bad. And she was like that. And I remember she was like, yeah, sometimes I'm here till 3 a.m, which, by the way, was forgetting ghosts and demons, that was not a place you want to be at 3 a.m. And it had no locks on the door. Or were there locks on the door? It was so old.
I think they had to put them on there, or at least I think they had to put some locks on it. But real quick, you're right, though. The ghosts really did have a connection with Ella, the Adam's wife, and that she would find marbles too. I think one even rolled up near her, I believe. But the advice that they got from my psychic friend was to, if she really wants the spirits to accept Adam, is that they have to have sex in the building, in the house. I don't know. I mean,
well, wait a minute. Let's go back. I have to tell you that actually makes sense to me in a bizarre way, and here's why.
Okay.
There was no one in that house was married.
Oh, right. Yes.
Okay. So we don't even know who was having sex with who or why someone is in the closet. And also there was something about the cellar, wasn't there?
Yeah, the cellar was creepy too. Somebody had either, I don't remember if somebody had fallen, but you had to go outside to get into the cellar, and you couldn't access it in the house. I guess that's where they, just stored stuff, but they found weird, not things you'd find in a cellar. I know that's vague, but it was just creepy, and you couldn't access it easily. You almost had to jump down into it.
Like it was a tornado thing too?
Yeah, I think it might have been, but I had a vague thought of somebody who had an accident in the cellar, and not died, but maimed themselves.
Oh, and
But
well, all this demonic woman in the closet forever, that kind of stuff. I mean, obviously there may have been some molestation or weirdness coming on. You don't just go into a room and never come out. That
Right.
seems excessive or extreme, or someone really holding a grudge. But it feels like maybe that was a curiosity to them, or maybe they were all having sex with each other or something was weird. And also they probably don't, I mean, I guess that kind of makes sense to me. So, but that's a weird request.
yeah, and Adam's wife was not having it. She was like, "Well, no, we're not doing that." So I'm like, "Well,
Wow,
okay.
that's your husband, right?
That's Adam." What? Oh yeah, that's her husband, and then she just wouldn't do it. So I don't know if she just didn't like the environment or
her husband.
or her husband.
She was like, we've been married for 10 years. It's not happening here. It's not happening there. I don't care how many ghosts ask me. I'm not sleeping with my husband. Just weird. Okay. That's their business. Or I wonder if it was just that she was like, now I'm insulting her. I wonder if it was just that she was like, no, that sounds kind of controlling. Also, she might actually be right on that, because it could really create some strange energy with the ghost.
Well, I understood. I sort of was leaning towards, I get it. I understand how, in a weird way, the ghost would see that as they're definitely together.
Right, right. Their energy is matched. But there may have actually been something with that. I know that I have heard, I know someone that actually did get to do an overnight investigation at Alcatraz, and there was a couple that had sex in the bathroom. And I know, and I remember thinking, no. So that could also have something to do with the energies trying to take over, or something like that. That could have put her in a vulnerable position. If there was something there that already liked her and wanted to do a walk on or possess her, that may have been a way to ask for an opening.
Okay.
So maybe she was right and I'm just making jokes like an idiot. But that is a weird, I don't know that I would have said yes to that either, now that I think about it. But also, just because the place was so dirty. And
Yeah,
I don't have sex any place that dirty and dusty and marbles and jars, and that's very strange.
Well, also ended up, he was only living in one room of the house, and I think it was basically the kitchen. The house, if you remember, the house had several rooms on the ground floor, and it was like, what are you doing here? What are you doing here? There's just these odd, like almost like parlor. You call it a parlor or what? But there was just, what is this space? And so he was basically just living, I think, where the stove was that keeps the house warm. And he lives. It was sort of the back of the house. And I found out that the house is 150 years old. So you're going to have energy in there that will just stays. I mean, it's embedded, I think.
And it's stone, which stone is such a conductor of energy. Any kind of stone. And it's just, I can't even tell to people. I don't even remember if there were windows. There must have been.
In the front of the house, but I don't remember a lot of windows in the kitchen area. And the kitchen area is where you access the back of the house, but it felt, you felt trapped, in my opinion, in that back area. In
every room in that place. And I remember the front parlor area, for some reason, there were maps. There were a lot of maps, which is, and I don't know if those were new or old, or, how small do you think? That's fascinating, how small their world must have been.
Oh, yeah. I mean, even, 100 years ago, you didn't have any neighbors, but you don't have any neighbors now, but like 100 years ago, you didn't have anybody for miles, it seemed like.
Yeah, and I wonder if he grew that. It's amazing, and I believe somebody emailed me on this because I think I have some listeners in North Carolina. I was told that there's places in North Carolina where you don't go, like you don't go up the mountain because there's people that live there, and they all look kind of wonky, and you know what I'm talking about?
I think so. Isn't that the blue people? The people that look like they're blue?
Oh, I don't know, but that sounds like a great new episode. I'm writing this down right now. Blue people.
There's some sort of something. I don't remember how it came to be, but they were like blue, like their skin was blue. I don't know if it was a navy or a royal or a periwinkle or whatever.
I miss you so much, Jeff. I hope I get to come back to Indiana soon because you make me laugh. Just, I don't know, they're blue. But I think you're right. And they're like sort of like the police don't go up there. Like, yeah, if you get lost and they kill you, you're on your own.
Yeah, they eat you up there. They don't.
We're not going to see the periwinkles at all. But and they almost have their own language. All right, I'm going to look this up after. The blue people of North Carolina. North Carolina is weird. I got everything's weird. I shouldn't say that. My last podcast, I just ripped on Florida, and I was like, no one's going to live. Everyone's like, she hates my place. No, creepy is good, people. Creepy is good.
Creepy's good. You created a tulpa in Florida, though.
I know. What's a tulpa?
It's where you use your own energy to create whatever it is you want to create.
Yes, I know it. I always think the Jersey Devil is a tulpa. For some reason, for years, I called that the wrong thing, and so tulpa never gets in. I think like everybody told the tale of the Jersey Devil, folks. So this is what this is, and then everyone put so much energy into it that all of a sudden somebody sees something scurry behind a bush, or like they almost create it with that amount of energy.
Yeah, same thing with the Hat Man and the Mothman, I believe.
And the Thin Man. Yeah, the Thin Man. And
the Thin Man.
I think the Mothman's a real thing, but that's how I'm creating a boyfriend, is a tulpa that I'm putting all this energy into. And that's going to be his first name. I'll introduce you to Tulpa. So there was the cellar, and they thought he stayed in the back room. Now, were you ever there during the day and got to look at the cemetery, or is there like nothing there? We just heard of it.
My co-host of my podcast, he went over to the cemetery, but I did not go to the cemetery. I don't remember a lot about it. I just know that they're just very, very old headstones. Family members.
Do we know the name or why it was called the Candlelight House? Well, obviously no electricity. There's Candlelight House. But
I think it's because there was sort of a phantom candle in the window, I think. So there's a vague memory of that, where like it looked like there was a candle in the window.
Oh, that's interesting. And so they named it that. How I'd like to get the realtor on the phone. Like, how do you sell that? With like, there's no as is doesn't even cover what that looked like inside. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, they bought it in 2013, and they just. You're right when you say that she just wanted this house, and they wanted to. I guess they wanted a project. They knew going in that they were going to get a project. So
yeah, and it's listed. I think it is. Hang on, I Googled it. It's not a bed and breakfast now, right? Or is it?
It is not.
Okay, Franklin, Indiana, right? Okay,
yeah,
it's listed as a bed and breakfast.
Is it really?
Wait, Bedford, Indiana. It's definitely. Oh, there must be a couple of them. Candlelight.
Franklin, Indiana.
Oh, a house. Okay, I put in. Yeah, that day, that realtor must have been like, I am the greatest realtor and I can sell anything. I sold some stones. Okay, the ghost of the Candlelight House. Okay. All right, so, and folks, the website is called Paraholics. That's Evil Oogle? Your partner?
Evil Ogleville. He goes. His name's Matthew Jackson, but he goes by Evil Ogleville.
I remember I was on your podcast once.
Yeah, you were.
So he has not only posts, but he has this picture, and it did have windows. It has windows on the front, and it seems to have windows on the back. But most of them are boarded up, which is why what happened. But folks, you can get a good look at this house, and it actually looks. I don't remember it being this big. Are you maybe on the same website as me on the same picture?
Yeah, I'm looking at it.
That's the picture, I think, because it's not that big.
It's not. I mean, it looks big on the outside, but it's I don't know why, but you get inside and you're like, yeah, this doesn't feel very big.
Yeah, and it's brick. Okay, it's brick, but some of it was stone, right? No, it's brick. All right, we're going to have to redo this whole podcast. And you can see in the back, too. Okay, the back has some added to it. Let me see if he has pictures of the cemetery. It's funny because there's a, I don't know if it's a spiral staircase or he just took the picture from the top down. It's not spiral, it curves around a little bit. But it's very interesting because there is a house here that you can get into these historic houses that they've saved. You can get in and go investigating there. And there's this one house that is literally built like you can never go upstairs because it's all rotted and no one seems to want to fix it, but it's bigger than a spiral staircase. It's like the staircase wraps around the outside like of 3 stories, and there's always someone running around, and I always thought that is the strangest feng shui that it has. You know what I mean? Like it's just a spinning vortex, like it just must open a vortex. But yeah, I see this now. Okay, I remember we did go upstairs. I did go upstairs. So the guy that built it was John Owens. He died in 1968. He was 52. Mary Owens died in 1868. Okay, so this house is 150 years old when they bought it?
Yeah.
Okay, so he died in 1868. 1868. So now is it? Have I known you for 100 years? How is it so old? Okay, so maybe it's. Hang on. I'm going to start at the beginning. Okay, and they showed the scratch in the window. So let's get to the beginning here. Just this first paragraph. It's a house that was built in 1868 for John Owens Sr. John Owens was the son of James Owens. Good Lord, someone give another name to these people. John Owens, James Owens. Give him a Ted or a Murray, who received the 160-acre parcel from the U.S. government on March 5th, 1830. This house has always remained in the Owens family. We own it now, and this is Adam, or Emma. What was her name?
Ella.
Very close. We own it now, and my husband is an Owens descendant. Oh, wait, who? Okay, wait a minute.
What?
I know, that's not them. Okay. Just stay with me, folks. It's so... This is such a scrappy podcast. But if it's going to be scrappy, at least it's funny, right? Okay. It's a house that was built in 1868 for John Owens Sr. John Owens was the son of James Owens, who received the 160-acre parcel from the U.S. government on March 5th, 1830. This house has always remained in the Owens family. We own it now, and my husband is an Owens descendant. We have John Owens' will in our possession, which is part of the abstract John Owens died, not a lot of punctuation. John Owens died in 1868 before the house was completed. Okay. His will specified that the house was to be finished before any of the remaining money was distributed. All right, so that's one of those wills that comes from the grave that they have to, you know what I mean? They have to do stuff for it, like in a horror movie. That so rarely happens, and you have to find a daisy in a neighbor's house, like a what is that? A scavenger hunt. The house is for sale and is located in the Franklin, Indiana, and it sits on 2 acres. It has 6 fireplace mantles. Does that mean fireplaces or just mantles?
I believe it has 6. Each room damn near had a fireplace.
I guess it had to, yeah. 8 closets. That's enough for everyone to hide in. wrap back porch, herringbone brick floor in the cellar, 2 side fireplaces in the kitchen, and a dining room. 7 exterior doors. I don't remember that. Oh, that had to be in the back, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, because actually I do remember I remember like 3 or 4 doors. I hope none of them are on the second floor. Then they just go and jump out. Pantry and it has National Registry eligibility. They did make that a historic house, didn't they?
Yeah.
Interior,
They must have.
Interior is original and woodwork intact. No plumbing, no bath, no electricity. City water and natural water available. Needs complete restoration. I would say so.
Yes.
I would love to know what they paid for this.
We could probably go on Zillow.
Could you still see what? We're going to do that before we get into the third half of this. Okay, let's do that and come back because there's some other real interesting stuff here. Psychic medium and buddy of mine, Terry Huberman, is with me today. Terry, you've given me so many great readings and healings, and now you've got everything together in one package. Tell me about that.
I sure do. So this package has energy healings, readings, and coaching.
Coaching, that's the best. And people, they buy the package. You give them coaching once a week?
Yeah, so we meet online once a week, and in between, there's support as well.
And who would this be for?
This is really for folks who are in indecision, needing to get into their intuition because they're blocked or stuck. They need to move forward. And so we explore what the root causes of the problems are.
And helps them get out of their own way.
Yeah, absolutely.
Terrific. And what can they expect from this?
Sure. So moving from anxiousness to confidence, accessing their freedom, joy, and security, and really being in alignment with themselves so they have that clear direction, so they know, aha, this is what I need to do next to reach my goals.
So now there's something that's free so people can talk to you and see if this is for them.
Yeah, absolutely. On my website, terryhuberman.com, there is a page where you can click, and it's the intuitive coaching package. And there is a button there that says schedule a free call. So you go ahead, schedule it. We'll get on a call and you can learn more about this program, and we'll see if this is a good fit for you or not.
See if there's chemistry.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
It's an odd date.
terryhuberman.com, TerrieHuberman. I highly recommend it, folks. All right, so we're back, and you have the original letter that you were sent before you even went to the house.
Yes, Adam, when he was purchasing it, I get this point they had already bought it, but he sent me a letter about the house. It's a very long letter, but here's one of the things he says. He said, the first time I walked into the house, I was impressed at how nice it still was. It was almost 150 years old, and it made less noises when you walked across the floor than the house we currently live in that was built in the mid-1980s.
Well, that makes sense, though. You know what I mean? They used to just they weren't worried about earthquakes and stuff, and they weren't cutting corners. Yeah. Good.
And they go, there are only 6 rooms in the whole house, 4 downstairs and 2 upstairs. Everything seemed kosher until we went into the room at the top of the stairs to the left. It didn't scare me, but it gave me a creepy feeling. The room had an odor to it, and the walls were covered in some kind of black stuff. Needless to say, we didn't spend much time in that room at first. So it's that room's creepy, but the room on the right, and from what I remember, was the demonic one, in my opinion.
Well, that's funny because, and this was way before you even knew about the house. This was the letter this guy sent you for your podcast. I do. You know why I think we're both talking left and right? Because I think that upstairs, it depends which way you're facing.
Yeah.
I remember the room on the left that he's talking about with the black stuff on the wall. That was the one I did not go in.
Okay.
But go ahead.
I was just trying to find something else here.
And while you look, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 people are buried in the backyard.
Oh my gosh, really?
He listed the burials in the family cemetery, and there's 13 of them.
Oh my.
Yeah, that can't be good.
No.
I mean, I don't know.
Do you? I don't know if you want to pause it here, but do you?
Okay.
Can we start over on that part?
We're good. Yeah, I just turned us back on. We're back, folks. This is and this is what I have to tell you. I've been on the phone with Jeff over an hour. We're 40 minutes in the podcast. Someone is running a leaf blower again. There's not enough land. I do not have as many acres as the Candlelight House. I do not know what they're doing out there. But so we stopped and you started to read me this letter. And I think this is the whole story because we're looking at this. There seems to be two stories, but this one right here is the original one when they bought the house. So go ahead, give it a whirl.
Okay. He said, we did some research and talked to Glenn and Connie, the people we bought the house off of. Otho was the name of the man that lived in the house until 1995. He was Glenn's uncle or something like that. Otho's full name was Otho Henry Pritchard. Prayer, which is the name of the medium and psychic that they were friends with, Prayer asked about Richard when she first got to the house. She called him Henry instead of Otho. I think Otho wrote his name on the window because we were introducing him to people under the wrong name. So he was correcting them. At least that's my guess. Otho's mother was one of John and Mary's kids. She got married and moved out of the house in 1908. Otho was born in 1909. His parents had another boy in 1911 that died. Otho's dad left him, and Otho's dad left him and his mother, Mary Ann, after that. She felt ashamed and moved back to her childhood home with Otho to live with her two spinster sisters. Mary Ann went into the upstairs dark room and never came out. They took all her meals to her, and she had a bedpan. She died sometime in the 1940s. One of the aunts died in the 1950s and the other in the 60s. Otho lived in that house by himself till 1995. Glenn and Connie would check on him from time to time. One day they stopped to check on him, and he had fallen in the woods by his outhouse couldn't get up. They said he was in good health for his age, but they didn't think he should live on his own in that old house. They moved him into an assisted living center, and he passed away within a week. I think he missed his home.
I bet you that was culture shock. If you lived in that house for 100 years and you're in assisted living, God's sake, the fluorescent lights would kill you.
Yeah. Yes. You know? Yes. I mean, if you're not used to your surroundings like that, yeah, you're right. It's a shock.
And also, you know what? I get this now because we were, I don't know if we were on the air or off the air. We were looking at some of the things. We were reading something from this that seemed to be from someone that said they were a descendant or something. And then there was some talk of a neighbor that it sounds like they broke up the land and gave it to a neighbor that was farming on it. So that must be the two people that eventually sold it. And these are the two people that checked on Otho.
Yeah. Yes.
Outhouse, 1995, fall down at the outhouse. That means in snow, he would go out to the outhouse.
Oh, yeah.
That's what...
That's like the Old West.
Didn't anyone across the street think to go, hey, we have these now?
Yeah.
You don't have to get your slippers on and go out in the snow. Oh, my God. Okay, go ahead.
Can you imagine sitting in an outhouse in the dead of winter?
Never. Never. And now that I'm in my 50s and it's more important to be close to a bathroom in the middle of the night, I cannot. Jewel, the singer, she grew up in some small town in Alaska, and they had an outhouse. And I'm like, what? Okay, so 1995, that's all he knows. They put him in assisted living, and he's like, I'm out of here. I can't even imagine that culture shock. Okay, go ahead.
Here's something else here. You want to hear this?
Yes.
Late last fall, the girls from back home planned another getaway weekend. This time it was to Michigan City, Indiana. Ella went, and Prayer was there as well. Prayer, like I said, the medium.
Okay,
medium.
wait, the girls, which girls? This is just this person that is writing this.
Friends of Ella. Ella and her friends.
Got it. That own the house. Okay, got it.
Yeah.
Okay.
And this time it was to Michigan City, Indiana. Ella went, and Prayer was there as well. On Saturday afternoon, Prayer said to Ella that Otho was there. Ella didn't believe her. Then Prayer said Otho wanted her to say 5055. That is the numerical part of the house address. Prayer said he showed up with a baby. He wanted Ella to know that he is with his brother, and he wanted us to dig in the crawl space of the house. She said he was very specific of the spot, but wouldn't say what was there. When Ella repeated what he wanted her to do, he went away. We went out there and checked the spot out, but didn't dig. The ground is rock hard, and there's not a lot of space to work in. We will get to it this spring.
There's in the listing of how many people there are that died, there is one that is just listed Infant Owens.
Yeah.
So Otho shows up, gives the number. Is the number the location, or that was the number of the house?
It's the number of the house. It's the numerical part of the house's address.
Wow. All right. So he has a little brother. Well, I hope they didn't dig up.
Well, that's what I was thinking. What would be there? What would be there to dig for? You like the bones of I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah, that's weird. Maybe Otho. This is the thing. We always think when spirits go over the other side, they know more. Maybe Otho always thought, if you dig that up, that spirit will come back and be with him or something. Or
yeah.
So the people, I would love to talk to people that knew Otho and just find out. Was he odd? Was he, did he go to school? Like, what is that when you live in one house for 100 years?
Yeah. He had to be known as the old man who lived in the creepy house.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And it was funny. So go ahead. Any more there around that creepy letter?
There is a part here. This is not in order. I'm sorry. I was going through and reading parts of the letter to myself again.
And it's a long letter. You read it for like an hour on your podcast. So
it's a very long letter, and parts of it I had to put in some punctuation. And I'm not an English major. He said we had spent time cleaning the inside of the house and had checked every nook and cranny for cool stuff. Every time I walked into the house, I would say hello, and if I was in Henry's room, I would talk to him and tell him that we were not going to mess up his home, just to make it nice again. We were out there on a Sunday puttering around with stuff. Some friends were driving by, saw we were there, and stopped to see the house. We gave them the tour. When we got back to Henry's room, we introduced him to them and went on. They left shortly after.
Now, is this before? Henry is a different guy. Henry is not Otho.
Henry is Otho.
Okay, and is Henry's middle name but this is when they were calling him Henry, but he wrote Otho on the. Okay, got it.
Yeah, this is the part that he did that.
Okay.
He goes. They left shortly after. About a half an hour later, a guy Ella works with and his wife were driving by and stopped as well. We gave them the exact same tour we had given our other friends. When we got into Henry's room, Otho was written on that window that Prayer said we would see faces in. So, and then this is a picture. He sent me a picture, and yeah, Otho is scratched into the window.
Yeah, and they have this.
How can the spirit do that? I don't understand how any spirit can either move things or scratch things. I don't get that. My mind can't comprehend.
I think. Have you ever seen the movie Ghost with Demi Moore and Patrick Swayze?
Yeah.
I think that I believe almost everything in that movie. except the part about making pottery. I don't believe that. Everything else works for me. I don't think you can make pottery.
No,
No,
it just appears.
it just appears. But I think where he's in the subway and the guy is showing him how to kick the can and he can't get it because he's trying to do it physically when you're supposed to do it with your mind. I think that's what it is they there's I think when someone first passes over, like now a big thing is people get phone messages or text messages that cannot be sent, that this guy had passed away. How did I get a phone message? Or that happened a lot with 9/11. People got recorded phone messages from someone saying, I love you, when the buildings had already been down. I think that it's sort of what you can sort of manipulate right away. That's why people talk about that like ghost radar app. Is it a real app? No. Can you get real evidence from it? Yes, because some ghosts will know how to manipulate it, or spirits.
Right.
But I think it is he was so in sync with that house that and on that same vibration. I don't know if he willed it or if literally, because he was so in sync with it, it was a parallel dimension where he literally was picking up something and scratching it in, and it's coming through to this dimension. But I know they say it's very interesting because usually a spirit or a human ghost can't. Usually it's 1 pound, 2 pounds. They can move something that light. It's when things get that intense where you're like, I don't know how he scratched that in. But he may have literally just learned how to do it like that guy in Ghost through your mind. You do it through your mind.
Yeah.
So
Could Otho have also pulled some of the energy from the living people in the house? Like from Adam and Ella?
Yeah. In fact, I don't want to say that this was a long time ago that I was there. This could be 10 years ago that we went, right?
Yeah. Probably 2016, 2017.
2016. Okay, I thought that's not quite 10. But she seemed enchanted with the house. Okay?
Yeah.
And even because when she was telling me she was there at 3 a.m, you don't need to be there at 3 a.m. It was so creepy to me that I felt like she either had a connection or she was, Otho was probably helping her, or there was something about it because she loved that place.
Oh, yes.
She loved it more than Adam. Adam liked it. She was in love with it. Like I could see her redoing it, and after something happens with him, her living there. But I think I think she. I do think that. I think they do that anyways. That's why you get your cold spot, because they're sucking all the energy out. And sometimes when you're ghost hunting or investigating, you can get very tired very fast. That's why you protect your own energy. Yes.
Right.
So I think they did pull from people in there.
It makes sense. It makes sense. And I personally think Otho is there more than even the dark spirit upstairs.
Yeah, and also with the dark spirits or something, sometimes they go dormant. Like people don't understand. You can buy a house that didn't haunt anybody, and you're there, right time, right place, right energy, and you have a problem. It's very random. Did Ella say anything or in this letter about the weird room that Adam didn't like?
I don't. Other than that. You talking about the room with the black on it? The black on the wall? Yes,
where the lady went in and with a bedpan and never came out.
I can look through here and skim and see if I can find that again.
That's that. Okay, so I'm going to side with Otho for a second and go, all right, in the summer, I'm out in the yard, trimming, building a better outhouse, whatever I'm doing. I get that if you're a nature person, but in the same room, no TV. I don't know. It doesn't sound like they had books. Or how many books could you read? She had to have been either so mentally ill or compromised. That's why that room is so dark.
That's what I was thinking. A depression can take on a couple different forms, right?
Right. And also, it is the mentally ill that are easier to compromise or possess.
Yes. I'm trying to find that part. I don't think there's anything else on that room specifically, other than the one where he said it didn't scare him, but it gave him a creepy feeling and it had an odor to it. And the walls were covered in some kind of black stuff. The black stuff could have just been from the fireplace, I think. Just soot.
Right, or just, that's just, that doesn't sound like anything weird like ectoplasm or something. But, there was also, because I know there was the cellar in the back, but I also remember there was something under the stairs. I remember we were spending time under the stairs. I don't know if that was just a closet or what. But I remember that. Oh, my goodness. All right.
This is kind of interesting. He says, I guess I need to tell you what we knew about the original owners at the time. Ella's mom is a retired librarian and loves genealogy. We gave her the names that we knew, and she went wild. She found a lot of info on the web. John and Mary Owens built the house. They had a slew of kids. John died before the house was completed.
Yeah.
John's brother Sam moved into the house with Mary and the kids. John had a brother. Yeah, we talked about this. John had a brother named James that lived there as well. They were all buried in the cemetery. They must have been uber rich. The brick home with all of this woodworking and trim on the inside is amazing. And it wasn't your average house in 1868. I guess that's true. We may have covered that, yeah.
But also the government handed them, how many acres did they say here? It was
168, wasn't it?
Yeah, that's a lot of room. That's a lot of room.
Why would the government just hand over 168 acres? They just wanted somebody to live there?
I don't know if that was maybe, I think we'd have to look that up if there was some problem. They wanted people farming or something like that. Or yeah, we don't know what that's about. But
here's something. This is with the walkthrough with Prayer, the psychic, and they say when they walked into the front door, Prayer said she saw a spirit standing on the stairs in a purple dress. Her name was Sarah. Sarah. We have not come across anybody named Sarah in the family history yet. The girls went upstairs first. They went into the room on the right, and she didn't say much about it. They started to go into the other room, and Prayer stopped. She could sense something in there and said they would save that room for last. They went back downstairs. When they got into a room in the back of the house, she said there was a spirit in the corner, and his name was Henry. That's Otho.
Okay.
Henry was a good spirit, but he really didn't like people. From that point on, the room was known as Henry's room. There is a window in that room that is boarded up that looks out onto the back porch. Prayer said not to be surprised to see faces in that window once we get it uncovered. Then Prayer asked if anybody heard music. Nobody did. She followed the music to the front room of the house, to a room that they hadn't been in yet. Ironically, there was an old record player in there, in that room that was in the house when we bought it. And I remember that. I remember seeing that room, that record player as well.
Holy cow, what do you think that is worth now?
Oh, it's one of those wind-up ones. So,
oh my God. Okay.
I don't know. And it was back in the corner, and Ella said there was no way she could have seen that in there when they first walked in the house. Prayer said there was a spirit of a woman in a white dress in the room playing music. Her name was Mimi. No Mimi in the family history that we found. Mimi was a good spirit that used to hold some kind of church service in that room. Before they left the room, Prayer stopped and told Ella there is a blood stain under the large area rug in that room. The rug is not stained or anything, so I don't know why she said that, and she didn't elaborate. I went out there and pulled the rug back. Sure as hell, there is a big stain in the middle of the wood floor.
Wow. I have those blood stains in my place, too. Okay.
Old boyfriend.
Yes, exactly.
there is a part here that I want to get to because I remember Ella had to go. Yeah, she had to go into that dark room and fix things.
That prayer told her to fix? Like she had to fix things that were...
Yeah, prayer said she had to go up there. Okay, after that, they went back upstairs to the room. They skipped. Prayer said there was something in there that was dark. Ella asked her if she could get rid of it, and she said she would try. She said she had to go in alone. She went in and closed the door. The girls heard some noises coming from inside the room. One of the girls, Bobby, said something to the effect of, "Do you think we should go in?" And Ella said the door opened a little bit, but she couldn't see anything from where she was standing. Bobby said that it was Prayer that was looking out of the cracked door, but she had a weird look on her face.
Oh.
Prayer told Bobby she needed to shut up and close the door. Ella said Bobby turned white and she had a scared look on her face. A few minutes later, Prayer walked out of the room. Ella said she had a scratch on her face and she looked exhausted. They asked if her face was okay, and she said she didn't know what they were talking about. Prayer walked straight outside and puked. I'm not saying she did something or didn't do anything, but that room feels totally different now. The girls packed up and headed home after that.
Wow.
Yeah.
All right.
So it sounds like there was a battle in that room.
And they've seen Prayer since then, right?
I believe so, yes.
Okay. Well, there you go, folks. That I think we patched that together and made a nice podcast, Jeff.
I think so.
I think we battled a leaf blower. We battled misinformation. We battled two poor memories. And we did it. You know what, though? Now I'm more fascinated than when I called you. When I was like, hey, let's do a podcast on that. I have to get back to Indiana people. If you go to Crackers, I think they have a little card that says, who do you want to see? Put in Karen Rontowski. Spell it however you would like. Jeff will correct them all. Because I think that would be a great live ghost hunt podcast is to do it from there.
That would be amazing.
We have to do that. Oh, my God, Jeff, I miss you. It's so good to talk to you.
So good to talk to you, too. I miss you. We should cross paths, whether it's in Indiana or somewhere else.
I hope so, and more so than just Facebook. Folks, check out jeffbodart.com, JEFFBORDART. Is that right?
BODART.
Okay.
Like bow and dart.
Okay, and it's going to be in the show notes. Check out his artwork. It's amazing. And, yeah, I can't wait to go back now.
Thank you. Oh, and I make wands. I forgot to tell you, I make wands.
Wands? Wait, you don't drop this in the last minute of the podcast. You make wands? Tell me, how come I'm not seeing the wands? What
I don't know.
Are they of wood? I can't remember. I remember.
Yeah, they're out of wood. It's called Tarbo wands. And, I make them out of, I special order the wood. Either willow. I got some hawthorn in not too long ago, and they're smaller pieces, so I have to figure out what to do with them. And then I got willow is the best. Yew wood is great too. Like YEW. So yeah, I mean, there's a whole slew of information to throw you.
The original YouTube porn channel. Hello, I'll be here all week. You would. Okay. Wow, Jeff. Well, now I got to go look, Jeff. Okay, keep going. Tell us more about your wands.
Yeah, I make these wands and I put, I just shape them. People say use a lathe. I don't want to learn how to use a lathe, but also they look too smooth and too good on a lathe. I do them by hand with a rotary tool, and I just shape them and shave them down and into the shape that I want. And then I put stones on them, crystals, and then I will, I stain them, and there's a lot of work that goes into just one wand.
Wow.
So, and then one guy emailed me one day. He says, "Hey, I had a dream about this particular wand. Can you make it?" And he drew a picture of it, and I did it, and he seemed to be pretty happy with it. But and then the same psychic friend that I talked about earlier, my friend, not Prayer, but my friend, I will send her sometimes pictures of the wands that are in the process. And she goes, "Ooh, that one's really dark." And I said, "Yeah, it is dark." And so, because people say, "Do you have a plan?" I don't. I just go out there and I just start shaping. Pardon me.
Oh my God! I'm looking at them on Tarbo Wands. Yes, on Facebook. Oh, they're fantastic.
Yeah. I really just let the wand tell me what to do. I mean, that sounds so silly, but I just kind of go with the grain and go with the shape. And
I know a lot of men that have said that to me too. I just let the wand. That's how I ruined my life. I had to do a dick joke. Wow, these are fantastic. That's amazing. I want the guy that had the dream about the wand. I wonder if he can fly now.
I don't know. He said he practices what do you call it? Magic, but it was a different type of a name. But yeah, and he goes, "I know it's dangerous, but I'm careful." And I'm like, I don't care what you do. Just, I mean, don't involve me in your darkness.
Yeah.
I don't need that.
Yeah, don't. You don't want to fly. All right. Well, that's great, Jeff. God, we could have talked more about your wands, but Tarbo wands, we'll get to that next time. Hopefully, I'll be talking to you in the Candlelight House with a Tarbo wand.
Yeah, absolutely. Let me know if you want a wand. I'll make you one.
I may take you up on that offer. That sounds. You know what else? I have a sword, wand. Somewhere in my apartment, there may be a cup, and then I get a pentacle, and I'll have everything right here. And I'll be able to raise the dead with my tarot cards right in my apartment. I'll never get my security deposit back. Jeff, I can't wait. Now we both have to get on. We have to get on Ruth Ann to book us together.
Yes,
or
absolutely.
The two clubs, headlining the two clubs. Then folks can come see me at one and you at the other.
Sure.
All right, everybody. Jeff Bodart, yay!
Thank you.
That was like a obstacle course of podcasts, folks. Thanks for listening. I will see you next week. Thanks to Mike at Uno Rising Media. Rock on, everybody. I hope that by the time this is out, we're all out doing things. So, thanks for listening.